Hi there, welcome to another literature in English class. And we have been on the series or on the, we have been on the analysis of the play Lion and the Jewel by Wole Soyinka. Okay, so so far we talked about Wole Soyinka as the author or the playwright of the play. We also talked about, in summary, the plot of the play. We talked about the setting, and now we are currently on the themes of the work of play, Lion and the Jewel. Okay, we treated two in the last class: how the lion got the jewel and the struggle between tradition and modernity. In this class, we're going to take another two, and then we'll take it like that until we are done with it, and then we'll move on to another aspect of the analysis of the play. All right, so my name is Jesse Josh. Let's go. So another theme we're going to be looking at is change. Change is also a very, very predominant predominant theme in the work of play Lion and the Jewel. Now let's look at it. Baruka and both Baruka and Lakule are concerned about change. Lakule is so sure about change that he wants Sidi and Ilujinle to embrace it. Lakule simply believes that the new is good. In fact, he seems to embody it already by having a school and preaching it, right? And even challenging what is against it. Now, Lakule had a very, very, superficial way of going about his own change, right? It was good, but it wasn't so firm. Although, to an extent, it was, right? Lakule was trying to impose change. He was trying to impose a different way of life on Sidi and Ilujinle as a village, right? And he went about it by even having a school where he was teaching westernization or teaching Western education and, preaching the whole idea of a new way of life, the new Western or modern way of life, okay, to his students, right? For instance, he's so fixated on change that he refuses to pay bride price on Sidi, right? To him, he felt that paying a bride price or paying a sum of money to marry Sidi was buying her, right? Buying her like a stuff from the market or something, right? That was his opinion, basically. You can see that in the early pages of the book, right? His understanding of change is more or less superficial, like I said earlier. He seems to see change as the use of forks and knives. Really. So if you are going to change anything, if you are going to talk about change, the difference between modernity and traditionality, you talk about fork and knife. Really? Come on. No. So he was talking about, forks and knives, eating with breakable plates, sitting on comfortable chairs, or, walking side by side, arm in arm, like Lagos couples. Lagos couples, right? So that thing where a guy is holding a girl's hand, right? It wasn't a traditional thing, it's a modern thing. Okay, so Lakule was really very, very particular about such way of living, right? But of course, those were not so, those little superficial things were not powerful enough to infuse the change that he wanted to see. Those were just, very, very, very frivolous things, right? They didn't hold much credibility, all right? Now, his love endearments, like kissing, is his idea of civilized romance, even as it is a strange, unhealthy mouthing to Sidi, who considers it some kind of rudeness. So Sidi was not even on board with the whole kissing idea. She saw kissing as ew, you get. All right, but Lakule was trying to tell her that was the civilized way of romance, in our day-to-day, in the Gen Z generation, in the millennials, right? One of the ways we express love is kissing, right? But that's true, actually. If you think about it, except your parents are very, very modernized, right? You really never saw them kiss each other, right? The best that happened was, a hug or a peck on the cheek, but that kissing stuff, that mouth thing, I don't think I saw my parents do it. Actually, maybe they did outside our presence, but I don't know. But most parents of this time, especially most elderly ones, they really were not into the whole kissing idea. But now times have changed. times have changed, right? And that's now a way of romance. Okay, and Lakule was trying to push that idea of civilized romance, right? But Sidi was considering it very, very archaic and very, very unhealthy and rude, right? So that's basically it. Now, Lakule's pursuit of change and the way he goes about it, they've made the village think that he made the whole village think that something was wrong with him, right? We see how Sidi was trying to tell him that when he was talking about all this civilized romance and kissing and everything, she was like, away with you. The village says you are mad, and I begin to understand. You get? So Lakule's style of pursuing the change was very, 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 out of the box, right? So he was pushing it in a way that was very, very superficial, right? And the villagers started to think that, Baba eating Yahweh. So, and all. So, yeah, that's basically it now. On the other hand, let's talk about Baroka. Baroka speaks of change. It speaks of change also, but his own kind of change is, he portrayed it in, and he called it, or it is called, he projected it as an unhurried change, right? An unhurried change. Thus, when the white surveyor came to bring change via the railroad, he bribes him off. So Baroka was so very, very, about change in that when modernity was trying to come into the village of Ilujile, he sent it away by bribing the surveyor off. So imagine somebody coming to your area that is very bushy and decides to build a road or make a third road, right? And the Bale of your community sends him away and bribes him and says he should not do road. He likes the bushes in the area. That would be very, very, that's a very, very, very bold move, right? So Baroka is not against progress as such only its nature, which makes all roof and faces look the same. Baroka is averse to a reckless broom, which seeks to sweep away anything old. So Baroka doesn't want anything to change. He likes Ilujile, or the village of Ilujile, the way it is, or he liked it the way it was, right? He wasn't all about change, right? Not wanting change is also a kind of change, right? But his own was kind of very, 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 much stronger, much passionate than Lakule's own, who was just talking about plates and kissing and, fork and knives and everything. He was actually making moves. Lakule was just talking and talking and talking about it. But Baroka was, very, very, it was well seated on this thing. He was ready to, imagine. It takes a lot to bribe away a surveyor that came to build a railway. I mean, come on. That's a bold move, right? So his concept of change is the old blending with the new. Now, Baroka was not even totally against the old. He just did not want the old to be swept away totally, right? So he wanted the old to remain and the new coming to join it, right? And he seems to sow this in the manner he wants, in the way that he was thinking that he could be an icon for the old, and then CD, an icon for the new. So this was one of the reasons why he wanted to actually legalize or make his union with between him and CD. He wanted to create a union between him and CD. Now, CD may have brought up this idea since she does not question the printing of her image and Baroka on the stamp. So remember this magazine or picture thing where somebody came to take their pictures of the pictures of people in the community. They took CD's picture and took Baroka's picture, right? So when the picture was finally printed out in the magazine, right, CD and Baroka, their pictures came out together on a stamp, right? In other words, both Baroka and CD view change from a perspective of personal benefit, right? They were viewing change to benefit themselves, right? Baroka did not want the old ways to go. He wanted the new to just join, and CD was just, for her popularity's sake, right? She was welcoming the modern way because it was making her popular. She didn't know what the camera was. Come on. She didn't know what the camera was. But the moment pictures of her were taken, and then books, pictures were in books, she started saying, oh, wow, I think this modern way is actually going to, help me, go popular and, you get famous and everything. So Baruka's suggestion softened Sidi's mind towards him, while Sidi's image, like the ones in the magazine, will introduce her to a wilder audience. Moreover, Sidi is flattered when Baruka tells her, I hope you will not think it too great a burden to carry the country's mail all on your comeliness. So Baruka was trying to be nice and sweet and trying to tell her that I hope this thing will not be whole stress, carrying the whole attention and, on her shoulders and everything. So this is basically the struggle the struggle for change, right? Change. This is a very, very predominant theme. There is change. Lakule is an object of change. Baruka and Sidi are also objects of change, even though they are looking at it from different perspectives. Okay? The next one we're going to be looking at, the next theme of Lion and Judah we're going to be looking at is the theme of youth and age. Youth and old age. Youth and old age. Lakule ordinarily is meant to represent youth or youthfulness. He is said to be 23 years old, according to the book. Yeah, he puts on modern dressing, although it is undersized, both physically and metaphorically. Right? You have to read the book to understand what it meant by that. He wears a blanco white tennis shoe. In other words, he seeks to be modern and shows later that he is the advocate of the new. So just like we talked about when we were talking about the struggle between tradition and modernity and the theme of change, we see that Lakule wanted to be the advocate of modernity and westernization, right? But he's not fully modern. Lakule is not also fully modern. For instance, we are told that his English suit is threadbare, right? You know what something is threadbare, right? Though it is ragged, it is clean but not ironed. Similarly, his style was knotted in a strange way, right? And he had a very, very funny dressing that made him that made his youth or that made youthfulness and modernity look very, very suspicious, right? So he was trying to be an advocate for modernity and modernity and westernization, but then he was going about it in a very wrong way. He was dressing weirdly, suit on sneakers. I mean, come on. Even though suit and sneakers looks nice now these days, but it wasn't the way Lakule was putting it on. His suit was not ironed, right? The shoe was, blanco white tennis shoes, not even sneakers, tennis shoes, right? If you imagine that, how weird you look putting on tennis shoes on a suit, right? Anyways, we're moving on. Being a traditional ruler, no doubt, Baruka's dressing must have been on point. Let's use that word. It must have been on point and it was commanding attention. The greetings of Kabiyesi Baba must have been because he was well dressed and had this aura about him. He was not necessarily the king. He was just a baale, but he was getting greetings like he was the king, and that is they say this popular saying that the way you dress is the way you be addressed. That's probably why Baruka was commanding attention and the respect he got. He probably dressed like it, and he had this aura around him. Of course, he was the baale, and there was a level of respect. But then it was really, really for them to call him Kabiyesi when he was just a baale. I mean, that must have said something about what he was wearing and how he looked or how he commanded this respect. Right now, the description of Baruka's bedroom also matches his dignity. Yeah, remember earlier in the book, they kind of described the view of his room, right? His bedroom. At his age of 62, he wears baggy trousers, calf length. We are also told that his bedroom is rich, covered in animal skins and rugs. You see that in the book. An old man who should not have anything to do with science and technology has a machine with a long lever. Now, if you are going to even analyze Baruka and Lakule, Baruka in a way was even portraying more modernity, and it may not have been portraying youthfulness because youthfulness had to do with age, but Baruka was portraying more modernity than Lakule. Lakule was basically just talking about it. Now, the whole baale, who is the who has the whole idea of no change and is the, the face of the traditional thing, right, had a machine with a long lever, right? So, I mean, look at it. What are we talking about? So when he introduces the subject of modernity and civilization, Baroka is already practical about it. Baroka already had a machine that talked about, or that signified, or that pointed to modernity, right? Even Lakunle did not have it. He was just all mouth, There is a strange machine around to demonstrate what he's talking about. So you have to read the book to find out what the strange machine was. On the other hand, right, in spite of his youthfulness, Lakunle is merely theoretical and verbose. I've been saying it. He's basically just a mouth guy. He knows how to make mouth. Let's use it like that. He knows how to make mouth. All the things he was saying were just theoretical. There was no proof, right? So that was why I said Baroka actually portrayed more modernity than Lakunle, who was actually, trying to push the whole thing, right? Lakunle didn't even have a car. He didn't even have a bike. And Baroka already had a machine, to himself, right? Lakunle also mentions Ibadan and Lagos and refers to Saro women, or Saro women, I don't know which of them, right? Where Baroka is measured in the manner he spoke to Sidi, probably using only the Yoruba language, which both understand very well. Both Baroka and Sidi understood Yoruba very well. Lakunle uses high falutin English words as excommunicated, archaic, retrogressive, unpalatable. He was using those words that, of course, definitely the villagers would not understand, but he was still using it anyways, right? But, Baroka was just basically sticking to the Yoruba where everybody in the village would understand very well, including Lakunle himself. But Lakunle was trying to show off, basically. He was just speaking, unpalatable, retrogressive, rubbish, right? He was trying to, I think he basically was trying to woo, he was wooing Sidi into marrying him and everything. So he had to prove that he was, on a different class or on a different level, right? Which, of course, as we see in the movie, in the play, that it does not work out, right? So, Lakunle was just using those words to one whom we are told, or we are not told, is Western education. We are not sure that Sidi had any Western education. We are not sure she went to school. We are not sure that she's Christian. But Lakunle was speaking to her as if she was educated, and was talking to her about, how Christians kiss their wives. Sidi is obviously a village girl. She's a village girl. She's just beautiful, right? But Lakunle was not really mindful of that fact. He was just talking and being verbose, right? So we have in the play a young man who operates at the mundane artificial level, and then we have an old man who, in spite of his age, is even more practically modern than the young man, which is why Baroka easily wins Sidi's hand in marriage, even though it was by deception. But it was easy for him to win Sidi's hand in marriage because of his approach. Like, the person who is supposed to be young and portray modernity was just behaving in a very, very archaic and mundane way, and very, very artificial, right? Nothing was really natural about Lakunle. He was just trying to, force things. But Baroka was, the old man, right? And despite his age, he was even proven to be more modernized, right, than the so-called young man, right? Lakunle's approach is basically textbook. There's something we call textbook approach, right? It's very, very funny, right? It's a copy and paste, you get, which is why Sidi, even though she would have preferred marrying Lakunle, but she was really irritated by him, right, because of the way he was going about the whole marriage thing and trying to speak grammar as if she was educated and all, right? So she was even wondering what Lakunle would look like at 60. Right? She said something like, he will be 10 years dead. In fact, you will not survive your honeymoon. Any wonder in popular, age is said to be a number, as one could be old. One could be old. People say age is just a number. So one could be old and still be contemporary. And that is where we'll put an end to the themes in this class. I will take one more or two more in the coming classes, and then we'll move on to another analysis or another aspect of the analysis of the play. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you in the next class.